It's feminine and floral, but still says fall. We're going to show you today how to paint a pumpkin that is just for you. I'm stepping into the art studio, if you will, with Natalie Malan. These are amazing, and we are fawning and falling all over ourselves, and you're definitely feeling the love for painted pumpkins this year.
They are so fun to do, I've got to admit. I'm hooked now.
This was something you said, a project you've wanted to tackle.
Oh, I've wanted to do it for years.
For a long time. So now that you've done it, is it one of those traditions that will add to your Halloween decor list?
You could do it for Thanksgiving. You can make them, you know, for Halloween and go move through Thanksgiving. So fun to do.
Okay, you're going to show us how. This is actually a paint-along experience, which I'm excited for. Talk us through the materials and supplies we would need.
All right, so pumpkins. There's a lot of different options. White pumpkins are really hot this year. These ones are from Harmon's. They had the prettiest, the best selection when I was looking.
And what makes a good pumpkin for painting?
You know, you want a good shape. I always look at the shape first, and then you kind of want one without a lot of blemishes on them, but even if it does, you can cover them up or work them into the pattern, because you're going to be painting on it anyways, so that's all right. So
can we use artificial pumpkins?
You can, and that's what we're going to be painting on today.
Okay.
So if you want to spend the time and do something to keep, and you have place to store it, then go for these, because this is a really fun way to keep the tradition year after year, kind of add to it.
Surface. I mean, you did ask for a smooth surface.
You've got a good smooth surface. You've got a good shape. It's pretty consistent. You can get the different sizes. You know, of course, is great too. So I'm going to talk a little bit about brushes. If you want to do really big flowers, you're going to need a flat brush. This one's a really good size. This is a 1-inch brush. And then you don't want to use your good watercolor brushes. I've talked on the show about watercolors before. Because we're going to use acrylic paint today. That's the other big tip. You clearly don't want to use watercolor and put these outside on your porch. That would be...
good thinking.
You know, kind of a mess, right? So
counterintuitive.
Yeah, counterintuitive. So we have some good brushes. There's another brush that I want to show you. This is called a liner brush. And a liner brush has a really fine, skinny tip on the top, but it holds a lot more paint. And the liner brush will help you get a really good, smooth curve when you're painting stems and things.
And acrylic paint you mentioned is our go-to medium.
Okay, and I love this paint. This is, I just bought this at Michael's. It's Deco Arts Americana line, and it's a medium. It's not super runny. Have you bought acrylic paints before? And they're kind of runny and they wash all over the place. You don't want that. So this is a really good one. If you want a good metallic, they also make this beautiful metallic paint.
I can tell that's going to be gorgeous just looking at the bottle.
You can paint the stems with that. You can paint, if you're painting on the pumpkin, I like to do 2 coats with my metallics. It just gets you a really solid, smooth finish. So that's the best way to go with that.
Do you need to prep it if you're using a real pumpkin?
You know what? I just painted right on them.
Okay.
If it wasn't the color you wanted, I've seen people spray paint them, but I've heard that spray painting the white pumpkins is particularly hard because you need to do so many coats to get it really smooth. So I didn't spray paint mine. You could spray them with like a crystal clear or something. They'll scratch off, but that's another good thing. If you mess up on the pumpkin, I used my little 2-year-old painted all over this one last night. And I used baby wipes and it just came right off. So keep that in mind. If you mess up, don't worry too much about it. That's another thing that's fun about painting on the pumpkins. This is another really great tool for painting on these. This is just a little, I believe it's oil-based metallic pen, and I used this for the stems on the white pumpkin over there, as well as some of the dots and details on some of these other pumpkins. Okay. Because you can get such a good tip and a line.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing a little detail flourishes that you've added.
You just shake it up a ton. I've been shaking this up all morning, and then you kind of punch it down to get it flowing into the nib. And then you can go on your pumpkins and just start drawing little stems. And fun little, you can add leaves and fill them in.
Okay, now I can do stems, I can do leaves, I can even do the basic schoolgirl flower, but help us go a little bit beyond that if we want to up our sophistication with our painted pumpkins. How can we do some of these fancy florals?
If you want to do something that's a little bit more, I'm going to show you a little trick. You can mix a couple different colors close to each other on your palette here.
Okay.
And then, again, you want that 1-inch wide flat brush. So if you want to do a floral kind of like this, here, I'm going to give you one and I'll do one over here.
Okay.
Feel free to, you know, turn that around or paint right over that is fine too. So what you're going to do is dip your brush. Say you want to do the centers. I'm going to start off, and I'm just dipping it in there half and half yellow and half white.
Okay.
And then as you put it on your pumpkin, the other thing that's really important to remember is it's not going to look like much until you get it all in context.
So don't panic.
Don't panic when you're going through and you're like, that's not what I had in mind. So you're going to go through and start kind of dotting it around and twist your brush. You're just making a center. If you want a little more white, you can add a little more white.
A center to my flower?
Yes, you're making the center to your flower.
Okay, did I get too much paint?
Nope, you're going perfectly. And if you want, you can add a little more white in there.
Okay, was that a hint? Add more white?
You sure can. Go for it.
And Brooke, if you really want to, hint, hint, you can add some more white.
It's just fun because it adds more depth to your pumpkin flower.
Okay, now what? Now what?
Now we're gonna get into the orange.
Did you clean your brush at all or not?
I didn't.
Really?
I just dipped it right in. So you paint starting with your lightest colors in the center first. Now we're gonna get, quite a bit of orange, and you're gonna start kind of going around your flower and making petals.
Okay.
So I'm kind of making a C shape, and I'm using the darker color right now. So some orange, it's gonna pick up a little bit of that yellow, and that's great too.
Okay, what else? About 30
Now,
seconds. Finish us off here, Nat.
We are gonna add some more white and just keep going, and then you'll just use the same kind of motion to add some fun stems in green or black.
Guess what? I'm kind of seeing it, and I'm really proud. What would this look like in the end? Is that the flower you did right there?
That's kind of what it'll do in the end, yep.
Look at that.
You can add little buds on the side. You wanna tuck some leaves. That's what's really gonna start making this look like a flower, is tucking the leaves behind.
Do you have any workshops coming up?
I do. I'm teaching at Pinners Conference in November.
All right.
Sign up now. It fills up fast.
It does fill up fast. Be sure to get in this girls class. So fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And if you found this tutorial helpful, I gotta tell you, this flower looks fantastic. Go to our website, studio5.ksl.com, and click on the project.